What is up? It is 2003, and we have lots of great things going on. We have the head astrophysicist at Harvard taking this topic very seriously, the topic of interstellar visitors, that is. We have a number of scientists. Brian Keaton's channel, the Into the Impossible podcast, has had some great interviews. People should check out the interview with Garry Nolan that was done by. Let's see if I can find that one on Brian Keaton, Garry Nolan. He had Avi Loeb and Nolan on. That is one that scientists should just go check out. I think I have some notes to some important key parts of the discussion, and I think he also chops it up and shows you the parts that were discussed during each segment. So definitely go check that out. I was sent this. I'm going to get into this. It's in the description below, and I'll get into this in a second. I watched for over an hour until he finally got into some physics stuff, and we'll get into that really quickly. And just, I don't know. There's really not much to cover here. He doesn't really talk about. Someone sent this to me, and we're like, "Oh, what do you think about the physics that are discussed here by this guy Alan Dershowitz?" I mean, not Allan Lavigne. Lavigne, sorry. Yeah, I was listening to this, and I thought that Lavigne, well, right here, he didn't really talk about any science until like about an hour and 10 minutes in. And right there, he confused a particle accelerator with, he talks about like CERN and yeah, right here, about an hour in, he confuses a particle accelerator with a reactor core. And, he says, "Oh, it's this Rube Goldberg machine." Well, no, you don't understand basic, the basic physics that this is, a reactor core, and it's based off of, a similar reactor core. It looks very similar to something called the Demon core, which is a plutonium core inside of two beryllium half shells, and the beryllium half shells, they do neutron capture and reflection, and they basically beryllium is a strong neutron reflector, so it stabilizes the chain reaction inside of the nuclear material in the middle here. It's a key component of potentially arming an atomic weapon. So the Demon Core is a real thing. This guy, I don't think there's much else to talk about in that Dolan interview. Dolan, if you're watching this, you got to get me on your show to talk about some real science intelligence, and I can break some of the stuff down for you, because, as you told me yourself, you really don't know
faster
science
than it's like letting
well. And you were interested in, at least in 2019 when I met you at Alien Con in LA and talked to you personally, you were interested in my information on the scientific side of this and disclosure. And I hope you are still interested in that, and that maybe we could discuss further, some of that, but whatever. There's not much there. Like I said, this was a good interview. This happened 2 months ago. This was actually not in 2023. But it's some good background. I don't know if Brian Keaton has really touched the topic yet at all this year. If you're watching, you should definitely get me on to discuss my research and the UAP technical summary report that I put together on UFOs with a number of, just going over the whole history of the whole thing. So also we have the NASA study team. There's a NASA team that is studying UFOs. BU astrophysicist Joshua Sameter just joined that, along with another, who was the other scientist there? Paula. This is it, Paula Bontempi. and she's a oceanographer, which is interesting, from URI down here. So both of those people are local to me, and I've reached out to them with a copy of this UAP technical summary report that I've put together with a real wide bird's eye view of the intelligence sphere on a lot of different topics related to the UFO phenomenon, including some interesting stuff on metamaterial super lenses and the type of telescopes that Avi Loeb and others who are seeking, trying to look for aliens might want to look into. And hello, people are just getting started. Yeah, I kind of didn't announce this. It was a impromptu StreamYard, so peace out to everyone who's watching and out there. Yeah, so this dude is Avi is he's here and in Harvard too, nearby, and I've been trying to reach out to him, hopefully get a discussion with him on just on the telescope side of thing and sensor side of thing. I want to see what he thinks about quantum radar. It's interesting. Seth Shostak of SETI had never heard of quantum radar until I told him about it and started talking to him about it. Quite interesting. Oh, and the latest leak from Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp. How could I forget? Here's the leaked Mosul orb. So this apparently it took 7 years. 2016, this thing was filmed. Well, 6 years. 6 years, let's say, because my son was born in 2016, and he's 6 now. So, yeah, it looks like a ball bearing, or maybe even a bullet or a bomb fragment, as maybe a canister of some kind, with a cylindrical round top. It could be any number of things. I haven't seen the video yet. I don't think. Is there a video? There's leaked photos, so imagery. So there's no actual photos, and it's just George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell talking about it. And then they're announcing they did at the same time. I think they announced this. They put this ball bearing picture out, and then they launched this. This was 14 hours ago. This premiered. This was the Weaponized episode #1 with Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp. All roads lead to UFOs. Yeah, so they did this podcast. You got Jeremy Corbell with this shirt that says "mental" on it. And then it says "weaponized" in the background. This is like some MK Ultra programming stuff. This is like real. This is the name of their podcast, is "Weaponized." Like, and you got this former karate instructor that has these tattoos all over his body and tries to pretend like he's a tough guy. Oh my God, it's just. Get out of here, Corbell. You're like 5'6", and I'd step all over you. Sorry, man. Like intellectually and in any kind of combat or competition that a man to man could possibly have, Corbell, I would absolutely make a wussy little sissy out of you, and I would show you for the man you are not, and just pretend to be. This is just overcompensation or something. It's just weird. And not much is discussed here. I went, as far as it says, in Weaponized, Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp will pull back the veil on the world of the known to explore the unexplained. This multi-platform investigative series features exclusive interviews, never-before-seen footage, previously suppressed documents. There's no links to any of these documents or sources. You know, I link all my sources when especially I go back afterwards. If we bring stuff up, I try to link it all in the description so that people can go and link to information. And a lot of times I don't even give links back to myself because I'm not here for self-promotion. I don't promote my website. I haven't even had time to work on my website or do much with my website, man, honestly. So, and nobody really cared or I mean, didn't make any money through my website. I don't, you know, I should maybe have a product to sell to help support it or something, but I don't. I can't really think of anything. Maybe I could do some t-shirt designs and stuff. I've thought about that. Tried to get into that at one point, but got burned by a t-shirt maker. But anyways, long story short, these guys have serious backing. You know, Corbell came out of nowhere and got 143,000 subscribers, and he gets, you know, 30,000 views on a video. And I have a real hard time, you know, just trying to get people to come in and watch stuff. But yet I'm not here for self-promotion, and I give links to, in my videos, I give links to sources and real information. And, you know, we have the truth is out there. We have this Pentagon report that finally came out. And this is the Popular Science article that was written about it. It's Big Nothing Burger, and there's a bunch of debunked videos and sightings, you know. It was almost like Corbell got in there and set up a softball for them to just nail out of the park. And they just came in and were like repeat of Project Blue Book and whatnot. Here you have this sphere thing is getting a ton of views and attention on Twitter and people talking about it. And it's pointless to debate whether this is a real UFO or a friggin' ball bearing. The science of it doesn't care about that. The science of it, if people want to go and look into it, is all covered under, it's all covered on altpropulsion.com and the work that I've done on my channel and Tim, along with Tim Ventura and you know, Mark Sokol and Jeremiah and everyone else. So this orb, it doesn't matter about this. What matters is supercavitation physics. You know, the Kevin Kremeyer, you know, directed energy laser lightcraft technology, like Dr. Lake Marabou from NASA and others helped develop that, you know, went completely dark, even though it was super popular and TV shows in the late 90s and stuff being talked about as the future of technology. That was, you know, 25 years ago now. It was like 1998. So when you talk about what these things are, and you don't mention anything about existing capabilities and existing technologies that can completely explain, you know, what these things might be. You know, you had RPGs, right? RPGs take out helicopters. This looks like something that was filmed from a helicopter, maybe shortly before it was taken out, right? I don't know. I don't know the whole story of this, but again, what matters is the physics of if this thing's a real object and the scientific capabilities. So we have laser-induced plasma effect and create the illusion of things in the air, but you can also be used to supercavitate the air and also create shock waves to propel objects through the air, like these like those laser light craft. So there might be a technology that's like a spherical bomb that can use this plasma hydrodynamic, magnetohydrodynamic plasma effect or some other type of field resonance propulsion effect. All this, millions of dollars have been poured into all these things. They're real words, real studies that I can link to, and people want to see this stuff, official NASA documents, August 1979. This is Alan Holt's research on field resonance propulsion, and it's UFOs are cited several times in the document, official NASA document. So this stuff's 100% legit. Our government has spent tons of money figuring out resonance cavity effects and propulsion. DARPA's even funded our good friend Mike McCulloch. So quantized inertia is a great theory. It's causing a lot of waves, literally, in the physics community. Scientists can't believe that it's real. They say, how can you push off nothing? But we're really pushing off these Rindler horizons and saying that these accelerating objects will see itself surrounded by this so-called UNRRA radiation. The horizon splits virtual particles so that they become real radiation. But quantized inertia combines these two predictions by saying that the horizon damps, reduces the UNRRA radiation in one side of the object. The resultant gradient in the quantum vacuum pushes the object back against this acceleration, explaining inertia. It also explains gravity through the quantum maritime Casimir effect, as he goes over in the lecture, which you can watch on this link right here. I'll post that in the description. Go watch this video, the interview that he did with Tim Ventura and or APEC, where we ask him, have a whole team of me and other scientists and other physicists just nailing Mike with questions on his theory. And we have all kinds of propulsion scientists, including Mike McCulloch, who is, of course, they're funded by DARPA. DARPA is researching this. Last I really heard from Mike, he hasn't talked much since he went on. He said just enough of what he could on the podcast that he did, on the APEC conference. And then a couple of months ago on Twitter, he made a very strange post that was, Mike McCulloch said, bad news travels fast, and good news has NDAs. And you can probably search that phrase on Twitter and see if you can find it. I know I've requoted him a couple times, but I'm sure he didn't make that up himself. He probably heard that from someone, and there's a reason for that. So yeah, check out Mike McCulloch's work, and also check out altpropulsion.com. So Black Vault's cool, yeah, whatever. You got these documents, and by the way, why was this classified thing that was classified for the past 7 years leaked through Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp? Like, why are they the ones to have access to this? It just really, I don't have any hard evidence for my hypothesis that these two are, some type of counterintelligence. We do have the fact that George Knapp handled the USSR's UFO leak. So when USSR dissolved and became Russia and Ukraine and all these other states, they released all of their the KGB's UFO documents supposedly to the American public, and George Knapp was chosen as the handler for all that information to give it to the American public, which was a quite interesting move from years ago. So I think that what happened is they blew up Area 51. They got mad at him for doing that, and he did a lot of that work with John Lear. And they really hit it off and got it popular with Bob Lazar, though, and that pushed it over the edge. And I think at that point he was approached and recruited. But I can't be positive. That's just my hypothesis. Again, that's my own feelings and on what's been going on, because it's the only thing that I can rationally explain away in my mind, other than the financial motivations that George Knapp may have, and not falsifying a story that he knows is false and has proven false with his own research. If you look up my video, George Knapp debunks Bob Lazar, you'll see. And I think it's maybe because it's one of the big stories that gets a lot of people into UFOs. But as far as scientists are concerned, I haven't seen this get many scientists into UFOs. That they assume that I'm Bob Lazar and I'm a one of these UFO people, and they don't want nothing to do with it. And if I bring this up in conversation, certain social circles or conversations with scientists, um, they pull a Neil deGrasse Tyson, um, which is funny. That whole thing with Neil. Yeah, the Merged podcast. So this is something that people should check out too. I wanted to give my thoughts on that. This proving to the scientific community, what we can learn from UAPs and sightings. Some of the stuff's all right. It's a very safe, and it's not, it doesn't do the same, doesn't do like the deep dive on the technology that we get into here on Alien Scientists with my Roswell report, and talking about all the different applications and science behind these crystal structures and of different types, and how we might access higher dimensions through quasi crystals, which are three-dimensional projections of 4 and 5-dimensional or hyperdimensional crystal lattice structures, which is quite interesting concept. And yeah, Plant 42, we got Dan Foster out there, man. Dan went down to Dan that lives out in Palmdale, right where this picture was taken. We're right at Site 4, near Site 4 at Plant 42 in Palmdale, where they made the B-2 Spirit bombers. So the government got enough money to build. They were supposed to build 133 of them, but in the end, only 21 of them were built. Who knows where all that other money went? But I have a feeling it might have gone to some. It might have gone to some guy who looks a little bit like this, right? And it's my job to find that man. As the alien scientist here, we are interested in, finding alien scientists. Neil deGrasse Tyson, speaking of Neil, he recently, 3.5 million people have seen this on Twitter, but he says that visiting space aliens upon seeing humans oppress or kill one another over who they worship, who they slept with, or what side of an arbitrary line they're born on, or how absorptive their skin is to sunlight, would surely race home and report no sign of intelligent life on Earth. Well, I said, if aliens came here, they would probably look like von Neumann or Bracewell probes. They would probably be interested in our scientific, nuclear, and aerospace developments, as well as our socio-moral political evolution. And I don't think that alien scientists would, cherry pick their sample size or scrape the bottom of the barrel to try to find, the absolute worst of our society and use that as a basis set to represent the entire whole. That's extremely unscientific. So I don't know what Neil is even thinking with these posts. Lately he's digging hard into like this. It's a pseudoscience religion almost. I don't know, Neil. I really look forward to the day. I'm gonna. I got to get down to the planetarium before my friend retires. He's retiring soon as a security guard there, and he said he'd take me up to meet Neil before he retires, and I can go to a party. He wants to invite me to this party, or I can supposedly I'm going to meet Neil deGrasse Tyson and be able to talk to him in person. And now this is a guy who charges $60,000 for an appearance sometimes, so I don't know if Neil is going to agree to give me a filmed interview, so to speak. might be able to sneak a microphone on my pocket and just record the audio of the conversation. But I don't want to just blow up my spot before I don't really want to. I don't know, man, what to do. I don't want to like record him without his consent and have him like sue me or something either. And I don't want to like, but I just want to like ask him, seriously, like, you're stuck in the cathedral, man. Like the Hayden Planetarium is your modern day, um, Roman Catholic Church, and I feel like Galileo, the outcast, trying to say, hey, we got all these holes in physics. There's this chasm of the unknown. There's a lot of gaps. We don't have a way to figure out how relativity and quantum mechanics are fully intertwined. But we do, if you want to look at the work of some of the people that we've talked to and interviewed on this channel, including Ken Griggs, and I talked about Lewis Kaufman, but I doubt he would actually grant me an interview. Maybe I should reach out to Lewis Kaufman and see if he would give me an interview. But Lewis Kaufman's done incredible work on knot theory and topology and topological quantum mechanics, including a theory which explains how to get relativity from quantum mechanics just by separating these even and odd terms, like the sine and cosine, come out of the natural logarithms. So the natural log series. Yeah. So very, very interesting, deep math. If you want to get into Lewis Kaufman's work, watch some of his lectures. If you want some deep math learning. So yeah, they are, man. Yeah, so the imagination is greater than knowledge, right? So this is just imagining the world in different ways, because realistically, if according to this whole Wolfram, project, what's Wolfram been up to with the project? Well, the Wolfram Physics Project, finding the fundamental theory of everything, of physics and more. Yeah, so he launched it in April 2020. So this will be in April 2023. This will be the 3-year anniversary, man. We got to try to see if I can get in touch with Wolfram and do a discussion with Wolfram. I've not actually been able to successfully get a response out of Stephen, but I have gotten Jonathan to look at a couple things and answer. He answers a lot of questions for me if I have deep math questions and stuff like that. Because Jonathan is incredibly knowledgeable. If people want to find him, it's Twitter, get John with it. Yeah, Jonathan Gerard. He's love Jonathan, total nerd, just like us. Yeah, but they're working on these network maps and these topological mappings to try to figure out atomic interchangeability and some of these substates, but I don't know if they've got the right model and the right picture quite yet. They still got a couple of years to mess around with it. And I've man, maybe I should apply to doing it like some work there. I'd love to get Sebastian on with that project, man. My friend Sebastian that comes on sometimes and talks about all his crazy math work. Yeah, man. Hey, what's up? Nerds are the best, dude. So I'm not interested in debunking UFOs. I'm not interested in, promoting UFOs. I'm not really even interested so much in UFOs, or just as much as I am in ufology and the culture around this and how it relates to real science and real physics and real imaginative breakthroughs in our understanding of the universe and the galaxy and how to actually get off this planet. Um, but yeah, I'd like people to check out the work that some of these guys that I are doing. I'd like to check out the Merged podcast. I will say that Gary Nolan has responded to my questions and my messages to him. He's been very open, and I know he's blocked a lot of people on Twitter and other stuff, and I've people given him some flack for that and other things, but I just won't. Personally, I don't think we should attack. As a scientist, I don't want to attack other scientists who are sticking their neck out to speak out in this field, regardless of, unless they're doing damage, then I'll call them out on the damage that they're doing, and call them out on that. And if they continue to do damage and then block me at that point instead of addressing it, then I just I'll go to war like I have with Corbell. Jeremy Corbell started that war with me by blocking me and doing copyright strikes on my videos, doing an attack, taking my entire Bob Lazar playlist that we used to have on the Alien Scientist channel and systematically going through and copyright striking all of those videos to get everything that debunked Bob Lazar taken down, and that Matt immediately flagged all the other content because somehow Jeremy Corbell got copyright access to all of Lazar's original footage and content. So they went around shadow banning all the key stuff to take out, the parts of the story where Bob lied or his story changed, so that they continue to tell people, oh, Bob's never lied and his story has never changed. Not true. They took down a lot of the old evidence, and you can't even find it anymore if you do searches for it on YouTube. But that's besides the point. That's all 30-year-old news now. We have new scientists, we have new science kind of coming out, and I don't want to badmouth any scientist who's encouraging. We want to create within this community, okay, a place where scientists feel safe, where they're like, oh, hey, hey, nerds. Okay, there's real nerds, and I can nerd out with these guys and talk about real nerd stuff. And that is what I try to create on this channel. All right. And yeah, we're going to call each other out. Yeah, we might do it. We might. And if you continue to just we're not going to tolerate nonsense. And this is, if you're looking for technical climbers, okay, you go on top of K2 or to Mount Everest, right? If you're looking for circus clowns and carnival barkers, you go to the big top, right? So it's not crazy to think about. It's just that we want to create this community where scientists say, oh, well, look at Gary Nolan. He's got way more cred as a scientist, a published author of science than I do. I'm basically just a reporter in terms of this, if anything, because I don't really publish anything other than documentaries or explanations of this stuff, and I try to I've had other PhDs do their theses on nerd stuff that we've discussed on this channel, and actually go study, in grad school, PhDs based on ideas that we or science that we've put forth on this channel. But I don't claim to, have anything published myself. Hey, Simon. Hey, Brenda. What's up? Thanks for watching. Awesome hieroglyphics. Those are really cool, Renee. Mike, what's up, man? Yes, yes. So I want to encourage more nerds to come forward, and I'm never going to badmouth Garry, Nolan, or any other scientist that wants to, come out and be like, hey, I think there might be some science here that we can study with regards to UAP and UAP technology. And they don't claim to know what it is. He doesn't really go deep dive on any quasi crystals or metamaterials or um, warp drive physics or any of that kind of stuff, quantum computers or stuff. But he does he does provide a platform or a basis for and a place to say for other scientists to come forward and realize that, hey, it's 2023, man. you know we're living through the almost there. Then we might live through a total societal collapse. Okay, at this point, really, realistically, the way things are going, just ask Dan Foster what's going on over there out in California. The entire city of Palmdale, where this is right where Plant 42 is, Lockheed Martin Aeronautics. This is where they build a lot of the secret airplanes and stuff. But the whole city's, something happened out there, and whole town hall's abandoned. I think everything moved to Lancaster and got taken over by their jurisdiction. But yeah, I don't know too much about that. I do want to bring up one thing I did learn about, which was super disturbing and super interesting. Um, the GEC Marconi scientist's deaths conspiracy theory. And I had never heard of this before, but someone was tweeting about it a week or two ago on Twitter, and about UFOs. And I was said, hey, this sounds interesting. Yeah, Marconi was one of the first people to really understand radio. So if they had UFO recoveries or any kind of crazy uh, technologies, he would have been probably a top intelligence guy to have shown it to or worked on it. Um, and I never thought of Marconi being, that guy. I always was like, oh, this is the guy that, took a lot of Tesla's work and really refined it and set it up into a coherent structure that could be used for signals intelligence. And obviously signals intelligence is super important to spies and early agents of you know wireless communications was new. They didn't have ways to tap into that and listen in back then. So there's a lot of interesting stuff that you could relate to legitimate non-UFO reasons for national security that might have been linked to these deaths. But also, there's a possibility that Marconi scientists and this subsidiary of this defense group, General Electric Company, GEC. Not this is the British General Electric Company, so not the U.S. General Electric. There's a different General Electric Company in Britain, which is GEC, and then that's Marconi, Marconi Electronic Systems, until 1998. And then it was the defense arm of General Electric Company. It was demerged from GEC and bought by British Aerospace on November 1999 to form BAE Systems. Boom. Yeah, so this is important stuff if you want to look into the whole history of it. But it seems like at the end of the 90s, there were a lot of these Roswell-esque scientists and people that we're getting older and starting to pull Philip Corsos and Paul Hills and they didn't want people coming forward and writing books and opening up their cases and really, revealing the whole breadth of what they were hired to do for these companies. So um, apparently they were, some suspicious things happened. They all lived with, like, they couldn't tell their wives what they did for work, and then right before, they said that they were really happy and excited about some major discovery that was going to change the world, and they were going to make tons of money off of it, and completely change the world. And then they get they're sent to this town, and one of them got in an accident, or a car, there was a car bomb, and then, all these weird things happen to these people. Like they were set up by spy, like some kind of spy work and intelligence work. Um, and I don't think the murders have ever been solved. There's still a mystery. Um, but it's definitely some, this is some the kind of thing where if you get a lead and you start looking into something related to what killed these guys, you might end up like them. So I don't know how much I want to really, dig into that. Woo. But anyways, I figured it's worth mentioning because I thought it was one of the most, deepest and interesting things that I came across so far here in 2023. And maybe I'll leave it up to a seasoned homicide detective. Someone, it was recent. I had an argument with some homicide detective here on Twitter. I'm gonna go find him, see if I can send that to him, see what he thinks about it. In any case, yeah, weaponized mental patient. This sounds like MK Ultra, Adam Lanza. You know, who's the guy that obviously brainwashed guy that shot at the Batman theater, Batman shooter? Who was that guy? James Holmes. Yeah, that guy with the orange hair, man. He looked like he was on MK Ultra. Some. He looked like he'd been weaponized. They weaponized him for sure. He went mentally weaponized. This is much better what you're doing there, Garry, and this is Ryan Graves, right? Yeah, Graves actually has been cool too. He responded back and didn't block me either, and we had some, back and forth conversations about some of the stuff, and I think he's on the same page as me with some of the stuff. I don't know how much he's dug into my work or really looked into it, but hey, I would love to be recommended. Recommend me as a guest on this Merged podcast, because I would go on Merged. I'd go on Weaponized too with Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp. That they would never ever let me. Come on, dude. I would just I would shut them down so hard, and Jeremy would just not be able to do anything intellectually. So he would probably, assault me like the monkey he is, and or something. I said, yeah, we could do that too if he wants to do that on Joe Rogan. We could do like cage match first, and then do like a UFO debate after I submit him. Punk he is, jiu-jitsu master, bro. You beat up little kids on your karate videos. Freaking weirdo. Ruining ufology, dude. You are. Really are. It's stupid. I hate that guy. Makes me furious. I'm sure he feels the same way about me. In fact, I know he feels the same way about me, because he watch his debate with Stanton Friedman too. When Jeremy Corbell debated Stanton Friedman, he just makes a total buffoon of himself. The same thing would happen if he tried to debate me, which is why Jeremy Corbell doesn't do debates. He just blocks people. But yeah. Dark Journalist. Yes, I got to get on Dark Journalist, dude. That would be amazing, because yeah, the Koncrete podcast, dude. That was a good one too. I should let me find that one and plug that real quick. Trying to get on Koncrete podcast too. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, dude, let me post that description down the bottom. Yeah, UFOs and dark money war tech, dude. See, so Ryan's onto some stuff, and he's doing a good job exposing some stuff, man. Hopefully, it's not. Hopefully, he continues to expose more and more because, bro, this rabbit hole goes deep. People have no idea. I start getting into it, and they're like, "All right, I don't know what you're talking about." Well, some people do, and that's why they come here to really learn deep physics. Oh, by the way, Darren Brown showed how you could do all this mind control stuff. He showed like he studied all the MK Ultra like techniques and a lot of this how they created sleeper agents. Um, so go watch Darren Brown's The Assassin. It's called The Assassin with Stephen Fry. Stephen Fry. Yeah. Go watch Darren Brown, The Assassin with Stephen Fry, because he shows like all these tricks. He's like a master magician. He shows how to read cards, do mind control. He shows how to do this and create a programmed assassin. And they find a guy that they can work. A guy who's susceptible to this. They find like one of these Sirhan types, and they program. And even Robert F. Kennedy spoke at Sirhan his parole hearing. He spoke to the parole hearing board, the parole board, and was telling him, he's like, I'm almost positive that Sirhan was an MK Ultra programmed Manchurian candidate assassin that killed his father. And wasn't actually the one that killed his father, because there was an extra bullet. His gun only held 6 rounds, and there was an extra bullet in the Ambassador Hotel pantry where he was killed that night. And they believe that that bullet came from another gun that belonged to a guy named Thane Eugene Caesar. And Thane Eugene Caesar was a Lockheed Martin security guard. He recently died, by the way. Was that a clip, man? Imagine if they got an interview with this dude. Crazy stuff. Hold on, I got a call coming in. Hey, what's up? Oh, yes. Yeah, I'll send you a link right now, man. All right. Sorry about that. I'm gonna get some people on here. Let's go. Daniel Foster, I got your email too. I want to send you send me an email if you guys want the link. And you're a scientist or someone with credentials. I'm not letting just anyone on. The alien scientist at gmail.com. Just send me an email, put link in the subject line, and give me a reason why I should let you on the podcast. Ask a question or send me an email with the screen, that I can screen you with. Yeah, we were talking about current events in ufology and everything that's going on UFOs in 2023, with astrophysicists joining the NASA team that's studying UFOs, and some of our efforts to reach out to these scientific teams to talk to them about technological advances and the science of UFOs, science of invisibility, the science of counter invisibility, the science of super lenses and meta optics. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that we're all talking about, and I'm about to get some crazy nerds on soon. I think I sent that email out. We can get some nerds on to talk about some science. Dig in. I gotta get Garry Nolan on if I could. I would love to get Garry Nolan and Avi Loeb. I'm gonna see if Brian Keaton can host another stream with a panel with all these guys and me. Just I want to be roasted. Maybe you could do like the roast of an alien scientist, and if he wants, I can just pretend like he doesn't have to promote alien scientists, because we do some conspiracy stuff on this channel too, and that's gets a little touchy for some people who want to maintain that ideas, the ideals of Michael's here. What's up, dude?
I finally have time to hang out. I missed those streams with Bernie and the crew. Oh well, but that's how it is sometimes.
I'll send Bernie and I will send Bernie and Zerdis a link.
All right, cool. Are you getting an echo from me? I'm getting an echo. I'm gonna put on some earbuds.
I'm gonna get a lot of echo. I'm gonna have to mute my mic because I don't have earphones or a mic anymore set up here. I will have to get that set up temporarily, but I'm shifting the studio around, so hasn't been the same. I don't know, my mic's my interface stopped working and a bunch of other stuff. So anyways, ask an alien, dude. Yeah, they could do like an ask an alien. I'll go on the show and like pretend to be an alien or something. I could, and just they can do like an alien scientist. I don't know, whatever.
So Jeremy, I was digging into a lot of that geopolymer stuff that they mentioned a while back, and here's the stuff I found on that. So, I mean, if people are familiar with sodium silicate, that's, I suppose you could call it a polymer. Basically, the silicate ion, you could call it metasilicate. It's very elongated. So yeah, you have this polymer chain of Y silicate ions, and that and the sodium. Well, I guess the sodium is an oxide without the water, but when dissolved in water, it becomes. Oh, hey, there's Glauber. Yeah, neat. Interesting. Not the same as the optics Glauber, I think.
No, it's not. There's a different Glauber. I was like, oh, is that Glauber? I'm like, oh, wait a minute. This is 1646, so we're about 300 years off.
Yep. But anyway, so there's metasilicate, metavanadate, I think it can form metatitanate maybe. But yeah. So then there's sodium tungstate and molybdate, and all of these can form ion chains on the end. And then the standard one is phosphorus. So that forms the backbone in DNA. Yeah, see, metasilicate is like a chain. So there's your geopolymers, sort of. What's interesting is there's a whole family of polymer chemistry around all of these in principle, and it only happens in extremely basic conditions. So once carbon-based life evolved on Earth and the acidity increased, then if there were life formed from these sorts of polymers, it would no longer be viable at that point. It would all have gone extinct if it ever did form.
So
why are we looking at this?
Oh, because like my kid plays at a playground and they have this giant rock that looks like it's real. It looks like a real rock, but you
Oh,
can tell
that's probably just plastic, though. I mean,
this one's plastic. This one's plastic, but I'd love to get a picture of I was trying to get a picture of it because they have some of these materials. Because I mean, this might be a buyer for a potential market for these types of compounds as well.
I suppose so. Well, I mean, they're very basic. You'd have to neutralize them slowly with acid, and then they solidify into stone essentially. You
Yeah.
can also bake them, and if you bake them at sufficiently high temperature, the sodium will evaporate out. In principle, at least. I mean, I think you can do that. Yeah, you can do that with sodium oxide. It's unstable enough. I don't know what the stability of sodium silicate is compared to sodium oxide. Probably more stable, so it'd be harder, but it's probably doable within like a kiln. But yeah, so sodium metavanadate, sodium silicate, whatever, all the meta like transition metal ion things. So vanadium can do it. I don't know if chromium can, but yeah, phosphorus can do it. Silicon can do it.
Um, is, is that why vanadium was the key, that key missing ingredient in the Damascus steel or whatever? There was
Damascus steel.
some type of steel that they I think it was Damascus steel that they found that the ore that they used to make this maybe it wasn't Damascus steel. Is it Damascus steel? It was vanadium. I remember vanadium was the key thing. I watched the whole thing on like the chemists and they try to figure out the 13th century Damascus steel sword, and apparently the addition of a little bit of vanadium in the alloy created these strengthening chains that added to made the blades way stronger than conventional steels.
Well, I'm not familiar with that particular. So Damascus steel's got a lot of history to it. It's not just the vanadium; it's also the production process and all these things. And some people claim there are nanotubes in it, and that's possible but unlikely. But anyway,
it's structured at the atomic level though, so it's the
right.
production process that goes into it as well. But I remember something about vanadium being a key.
Well, this is different. This is all oxides. So you've got so you've got sodium metasilicate, metavanadate, metatungstate, metamolybdate, and then you have the phosphorus, and you can have meta-arsenate as well. Don't recommend working with that one. And then beryllium forms polymers under very strange conditions, but those are highly toxic as well. So no point working with those. And then a lot of, let's see. So there was sodium aluminate, but that doesn't really seem to form long. But yeah, anyway, some of these formed long chains. And that's kind of the important point here that allows you to get these to be polymer-like. And they're saying aluminum and silicate. So if you can also add alumina and silica, and you can get a geopolymer out of the combination of those two things. Yeah, phosphoric acid, same thing.
Carboxylic acid. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see those. Yeah, those would inhibit. So basically, the only polymers I know of that are stable under acidic conditions are carbon-based polymers. But yeah, it's interesting in alkaline. But that's interesting. Are they saying that it's possible to form these under acidic conditions too? That would make sense for phosphorus and maybe arsenic. I don't know if silicates would form under acidic conditions. I saw something further up. Anyway, still researching it a bit. But the point is, you can form these long chains, and like the phosphorus chain that's the backbone of DNA essentially. So that's actually used in biology.
What had happened to that? Remember that diamond like cement you were talking about, like a diamond polymer that you could it hardens into diamond. It's like a
polyhydridocarbene. That's different. So you electrolyze that out of chloroform or bromoform or iodoform, and it forms this highly branched polymer that retains its what was it, sp2 hybridization.
Yeah, novelty.
Chemistry is not my strong suit sometimes.
It's a novelty of this PHC is the abbreviation for it. The polymer may be readily fabricated into various forms, films, fibers, plates, and then thermalized into a final hexagonal diamond ceramic. Pooh, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
if I want to make my spaceship hull, I'll make it with this stuff.
Yeah, you can 3D print the polymer. You dissolving it in some what do you call it? You'd have to dissolve it into an ink in some solvent, and then you would you just heat it in a reducing atmosphere slowly up to 600 C, and at that point, I mean, also very low nitrogen. You got to get rid of all the nitrogen in the environment, because the point is you have these ligands with the bromine or the chlorine or the iodine or whatever, and at high temperatures, those will actually etch graphite, but not diamond or lonsdaleite. So you retain all of the diamond or lonsdaleite carbon, but anything that forms graphene sheets is redissolved by the chlorine or bromine or whatever. So, but that's different stuff. Anyway, yeah, it's cool because you can coat stuff electrochemically and then heat treat it, and then it's coated in diamond essentially. So it's useful. But anyway, that's not geopolymer stuff. I am curious about did Bernie say it was gonna send over a sample of the Ormus or whatever, the like stuff he had in those jars? Because we can put that under SEM and get some data on that. If he is,
talked to him about that, man. I missed Saturday night. He did the part. He did the stream late Saturday night. I was just too tired. I was I had my boys, so I was not able to attend that. But I haven't talked to him since since he texted me about that. But yeah, I'll try to get in touch with him.
All right. That's cool. Oh, we on my end, there's some neat stuff. Let me see if I can drop. I'll drop a link in the StreamYard. Let's see.
Okay.
Where's it? We just posted our. It jumped over there. I guess that works. Let's see. Where's my project page? Yeah. So we just finally started the documentation on this year project, which is closely related to geopolymers. Yeah. So check that one out. I put the StreamYard link over there. We just started documenting this. It's something we've been working on for a while, but this is important stuff. So basically, this gets people to be able to machine ceramics in the home lab environment. We use essentially talc, basically soapstone, and you just machine the soapstone, and then you heat it up in an oven, and it metamorphoses just like it would in the earth. It undergoes metamorphosis. It becomes a metamorphic rock instead of sedimentary. Well, I guess soapstone is sort of metamorphic anyway, but what details? You change the crystals, you recrystallize it, and then it's a lot tougher and harder than it was previously.
Oh, so this is the kiln. This is the fired in the middle.
Yeah, that's the fired stuff and the unfired stuff, and it the maximum change in dimension during firing was 1.2% with natural stone. So that's if you have normal clay and you try to cook normal clay in a kiln, you get 5 to 10% shrinkage up to that amount. So this is it retains dimensional accuracy significantly better than just a normal clay when you fire it, and it becomes very strong. So that's where that is. It's related to geopolymers because when you the cool thing is you can take the
Is this?
you can
Sorry.
take the machined talc and you can recompress it into new soapstone by adding magnesium oxide and sodium silicate and letting it sit with some pressure. Like let the water evaporate maybe, and then apply pressure on top of it. And you just let it sit that way damp for a couple of weeks. And as the sodium silicate reacts with the magnesium oxide to form magnesium silicate, and that nucleates on the talc crystals that are already there. So you don't get an amorphous magnesium silicate, you get more talc in between. And basically that forms new soapstone fresh, and then you can machine it again. So so unlike normal machining process where your waste materials just wasted, you can recycle this back into more blocks to do more machining, to make more parts. And in fact, the properties, we'll be hopefully demonstrating this soon, but the properties of the artificial soapstone are superior to that of the natural soapstone. So, so using the sodium silicate and the magnesium oxide, you can recrystallize the talc into new soapstone, and then you just you use it and it machines super well. We're just using a simple Genmitsu like CNC router. They're like $500, maybe $600 at most. It brings ceramic parts and machining to the same realm of cost as 3D printed plastic parts. So this is big, Yeah. So I mean, there's some errors to work out here. You can see there's a crack on the part there, but that's due to the natural grain of the stone. Initially, there was already something going on there in the natural stone. But when you make the stone artificially, you can really eliminate all of those little grain issues, and that's what we're hoping to show.
Now, this is obviously an artificially created piece of soapstone that you made in the lab using the talc and the.
No, that's a natural piece. That's a natural piece. So we got that. Yeah, we got that from somewhere up in Canada, because up in Canada they're very. This is important that a lot of soapstone co-occurs with asbestos, so you don't want stuff with asbestos in it. But up in Canada, they have very stringent regulations on the mining of soapstone and any mineral that's potentially related to asbestos. So most of the safe for machining or carving soapstone comes from Canada these days. So that's an important little thing.
Yeah, natural soapstone. That's interesting. So there's only a few places that they mine this, and it's geologically real close to like asbestos, huh?
It forms in the same sort of areas that asbestos forms. Huh. It's chemically similar. It's a altered altered mafic and ultramafic stone, igneous stone, can turn into talc and also into just general serpentine minerals or whatever. It's the general category. So lots of magnesium, lots of iron. I forget, or was that felsic? Felsic has iron. It's weird how the things separate. So it's weird that the crust with the magnesium is the denser crust, because usually you think of magnesium as not a dense element in general. But anyway.
Yeah, so it's one plate that's pushing over another one. So they created in the subduction zone.
Mm-hmm.
Geologically, yeah. So I can see where the
see, it forms with tremolite and stuff.
Yep.
Anyway, that's just I just wanted to drop that so people could check it out. much more documentation to come, and you can follow all my projects there. There's some interesting stuff on the way. Yeah. Anyway, what else is about geopolymers?
I gotta get going too, so I'd like to.
Yeah.
I
That's fine.
I'm getting tired, and I'll give a shout out. Oh, Dan, I was trying to get Dan on, but I can't. I gotta give him the thing. He was the one that told me, but he's out in California. Was telling me about this thing. Maybe there might be something going on out there. If everyone's losing their job out at Palmdale, man, come work for us.
Well, anyways, yeah, I got to talk to Bernie sometime about those geopolymers, see what he has to say, and we got to get those samples in the lab. We have SEM with EDS, so we can really characterize what the heck those things are. I would be very curious to see.
Yes. EDS.
Yeah.
Nice.
Electron diffraction spectrum or deflection spectrum, I forget.
Oh, energy dispersive spectroscopy? No.
Yes, that's the one.
Yes. Cool. Very cool. That's awesome capability. And I also want to keep us posted on. We're trying to get a team together and something to work on building a terahertz source for Garry Nolan has a piece.
I almost forgot about that. Yeah, we should be able to do it with some sort of parametric amplifiers or zinc sulfide based doped diode lasers of some kind. Still probably will need an optical parametric oscillator of some description. We'll need an optics table basically to generate that. And to measure it, that's even harder. I have to think about that still.
Yeah, well, I can have access to optics tables too. There's a big optics lab at my university, at my alma mater. I could probably get us in there with some of my old professors and stuff. So
cool.
I don't know. Let's talk about this a little more and plan on that, because I told Garry that's something I'm going to look into for him.
Yeah, we can do it. We can definitely do it. And I calculated for the bismuth magnesium layers that they claim are focusing these terahertz waves as a waveguide. They say there's they're squeezing the terahertz waves down by a factor of 30 is what they claim. And just so happens, interestingly, that the ratio between the bismuth and magnesium layers is roughly 30. And also the thickness of those bismuth layers, or was it the magnesium? I guess, yeah, if the thickness of the magnesium layers corresponds to almost exactly 2 terahertz. And that's commonly achievable with a parametric amplifier of some kind. So I think we can do it. Infrared cameras might even be able to see that. I need to check that, though.
Whoa, Google's laying off 10K employees. Bad hit.
So I heard. Yeah, it's maybe they're expecting an economic downturn, or they just overhired during COVID or something. I don't know.
Man, feel bad for those people. And yeah, software is like one of those weird things. My brother was a programmer and got out of left his job to like take some time off, and they can't find a job anywhere now. They say like, oh, you've been out of the fields for too long. We'd have to completely retrain you, because it's just how fast everything goes.
Jesus.
I was like, what? That's nuts.
That's insane. Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, have a good night and Godspeed. We can do this. We're gonna get disclosure and real science out of this, one way or the other. We know that they have some pretty amazing capabilities and the technologies that we've already talked about, but it's up to us to really like prove these things out and build something amazing with them to show it, to really show off. And maybe there'll be a payoff at some point in the future if we can do that, especially if we can find an experiment that changes gravity or can hack gravity in some way. And so far, what do you think about McCulloch's theory and his his whole idea and the work that they're doing with the quantized inertia?
Yeah, I think that's one of the more promising technologies or attempts at engineering and testing. That's very promising for experimental tests, because if you can get something spinning up to 30,000 RPM, which is very, very achievable, then you can potentially detect some effects from that. Just 30,000, and 100,000 is better, but you only need 30,000 RPM to start being able to detect some effects of quantized inertia.
Yeah.
So yeah, if true, that would be exciting.
Heck yeah. Well, I'm hoping for it, as are a lot of other people. So yeah, take care, get some rest, and we're gonna have some cool shows coming up with some really cool guests. We'll have this some pre-planned guests and some other interesting people on. So thank you all for watching.